Hello, music listeners, underground enthusiasts, and people who say yellow when answering the phone. Just say hello, like everybody else does. You could even say hi, hey, or what's up. Just why that? Where'd that even start? I don't know. Maybe this is a day that I can be educated on something. Why do some people say yellow instead of hello when answering the phone? It is commonly known in East Europe that answering hello with rather than yellow increases testosterone, therefore increasing performance in the bed. I am left with even more questions. Back again with another week of music songs that I listened to this week. Wow, music songs. Nice one, dude. You're so smart. Songs that you might have listened to this week, and hey, if you didn't listen to them, maybe this video will convince you to go check them out. Who knows? I'm not in control of you. Do whatever you want. These are just suggestions. But without further ado, the list we will get into. Starting the week off, we have Daywatch with Messiah featuring M3S. This is a brash and metallic industrial sounding pop track from Daywatch, the artist formerly known as Breakweight, who I have previously talked about on a video a couple weeks back. The track starts out with an impactful and crushed kick acting as the driving force for chaotic and stuttering synth melodies and these pulsing beeps. The intro of this track is a pretty immediate attention grab. It's harsh and it's noisy, but it's also pretty controlled, with every wildly moving component finding its place in the mix. And after the introduction, it takes a sharp turn into a sort of piano ballad sound containing quiet and intermittent residuals of the disjointed synths from the section before. And Daywatch's very humanly weary notes and soft falsettos sort of break you out of the frantic state that the beginning puts you in, and the vocal melodies are smooth and incredibly pretty over these piano chords. And when the song does pick the pace back up, it doesn't entirely return to the erratic styles of the beginning. It does work its way back up to it. Not as harsh and as sharp as a turn as the initial change was. But when the instrumental does take back over as the commanding presence, Daywatch dispatches everything possible with pulsing wet synths rolling over each other and the final vocals feeling monumental and impactful. It's a really interesting listen with so many varying levels of energy that it feels like a complete and engaging trip through Daywatch's psyche.
I was like, is he recording a video? Or is he talking to someone? And I got closer, and I don't know, like, your tone of voice, he's not talking to a human being.
There's no way that I would talk to a person like this, I feel like. This is all for show, baby. You just want to be in the background for the next song?
Sure.
Okay, we have a guest star this video. And then up next, it's weird doing it in front of you. Is this how all, people who do YouTube feel when somebody's just, in the next room over? I would probably say so. But up next we have Wishlane with 27 Degrees, which is a fuzzy and saturated rock track that does incorporate mixing techniques and styles seen in sort of the current wave of internet-driven pop. And despite the slightly distorted and wide mix on Wishlane's vocals, a lot of the organic textures of their cadence break through and make for a great vocal performance with a lot of passion and authentic rawness, I would say, even with how the compression is a bit on the heavier side. The hook is incredibly catchy and displays impressive vocal range. The thick and thrashy guitars make for a pretty solid foundation as well. I really love how organic the track sounds, despite having so many more processed elements being in play here, like the warbly and digital melodies that kind of float in the background, and the shaky, almost dubstep sounding synths that pulse in and out of the second verse. It's well written, the verses are punctual, but also feel loose and floaty, and once again, the chorus is anthemic and powerful. In terms of the rock tracks that I've heard recently, this one pretty easily stands out as one of the better produced and performed songs. How was that?
It was good.
Thank you.
I can't get over the way that my hair looks, though.
Oh. And then we have Dwen with Tumble featuring Riensu and Yoku. A bit of a triple threat on this track, as you can see. Dwen calls in Riensu and Yoku to provide some verses while they take care of the hook. And Riensu and Yoku are two artists that I have become increasingly familiar with over the past couple of weeks, with Riensu's Crazy For You being on last week's list. And as expected, airy guitar melodies and smoothly layered falsetto harmonies are the main driving forces of this track. Everything is very clean and sweet, with all three artists gently singing these sort of soft romantic lyrics as they gracefully croon about love and loss, because it is a heartbreak song in a way, anxious of the potential loss of a relationship, somebody not wanting to return to a relationship once kind of detaching themselves from it. And I think that all three artists on this track do a good job of matching the lyrical energy to their deliveries. Riensu has this super delicate layering that makes the verse very buttery smooth. Dwen delivers the hook with a wavy delivery and some very memorable melodies, and Yoku takes a slightly more conversational approach, but still bringing in some very solid singing.
thing. It's a very warm track, and I'm not really surprised at all. You know, these artists, at least the ones that I was already familiar with, have sort of made their own lane in this genre, and I'm happy to see them come together to bring in what they're all best at. I will definitely be on the lookout. Up next, we have defsharp with Faked It This Much. This is a moody and wavy synth pop track, and defsharp's vocals are a major highlight here. And, you know, in the beginning, matching the notes of the synth chords pushing in from the background, all having this enunciated and precise delivery that still kind of maintains clean and smooth and looser notes. And as the energy of the track picks up the pace a bit, it almost moves from a pop rock track to almost being a bit more dance influenced in a way. It's definitely mellow and rather somber in that regard, but it's also so scarily clean that I could hear this being played on any radio station or in a lot of clubs. Even in its melancholy subject matter, with the song questioning, you know, the integrity of this relationship, wondering how involved somebody actually is in it, it still manages to be engaging and incredibly fun pop track. Kind of like, you know, having the best of both worlds here. You know, listen to the production and you can throw it back. Listen to the poignant lyrics and you start thinking real hard about a lot of things. Out of the songs that I've listened to this week and considered and put on this list, this track, I feel like takes the cake on the replay value and sort of the widest range of appeal. It's just so easy to listen to. Then we have Underscores with Old Money Bitch. I was a bit late to the Underscores party, if I'm being honest, but since Cops and Robbers came out, I've been diving into the conceptual and stylistic world of Underscores discography. And similar to Cops and Robbers, Underscores delivers some compelling and almost a comical narrative with some of my favorite writing this year because of how much Underscores commits to the narratives of their tracks. The song details the story of Mara's feelings on what they refer to as an old money bitch. This girl greatly benefits from generational wealth and doesn't have to work for anything, yet still manages to live erratically and out of line with what is probably to be expected of how she would behave. It's absolutely fantastic, and Underscores really does cram in as much narrative and description as possible, doing some heavy lifting with the world building here. And all of this is delivered over a pop mix that would feel right at home with like the mid-2000s party hits, with soft vocalizations transitioning into a hook packed with sparkly keys, saturated chords, upbeat drums, and even some record scratches. And Underscore's vocals are so fucking, like, convincing, I guess is a good way to put it. Everything is delivered with such a characterized snarkiness that it's just hard not to love every element of the delivery. Old Money Bitch is kind of like if you took a Kesha song, separated all of the components that made it whole, and reorganized things a little bit to create a more modern tongue-in-cheek satirization of a very specific type of person. And with every re-listen of this track, I find something new to incorporate, you know, into my personality. Underscores is doing something very few people could pull off, and Underscores is doing it amazingly. I mean, just like the snarky, sassy delivery of the "Did you know your parents are on Wikipedia" line is just, it's enough. I'm sold. Then we have Anxiety Attacks with One Shot featuring Extra Large Holiday Card. Now, this is a cleanly produced alternative rock track with slick guitar riffs and sharp percussion, all pretty meticulously layered to produce an instrumental that balances clarity and bite. Anxiety Attacks vocals feel reminiscent of, you know, emo rock of a past day, and I think that the conversational tone and catchy melodies sound fantastic, especially on the hook, where this song turns into a big anthemic track with layered vocals shouting over heavy 808s and dusty snares. Both artists here have great performances, and you frequently use layering with these shiny, sharp, polished background vocals really just scratch the brain in a satisfying way. Extra Large Holiday Card's contribution to this track is a fantastic addition. You know, it provides a bit of grit to an otherwise polished and cleanly crafted track. It's incredibly well-rounded, you know, working like a fine-tuned engine firing on all cylinders. And to end things out, we have Dylan Longworth with Paralysis. It's a pretty and clean ballad where Dylan croons about self-doubt and you know, pushing through the isolation caused by attempts to word things the right way, writing songs, you know, weighing the effects that, you know, creation can have on somebody. Dylan's vocals over these soft piano chords and kind of twangy guitar makes for a pretty great blend of ambience in the instrumentation, but then also clarity in other elements, like especially the vocals. The instrumental is moody and a little bit poppy, and the vocals are so crisp and airy that they cut through with precision and enunciation. It's an emotional and powerful track, and I think that despite much of the message being relayed is a, you know, being a personal struggle with the creation of music, with writing lyrics, with, you know, a very personal, you know, applying to Dylan topic, I think that the sentiment rings true for a lot of people. You know, even if art and music aren't, you know, necessarily the endeavors that you typically subscribe to, I think a lot of people can find something in this very personal and intimate track that they can, you know, see in themselves reflected back. And it's compelling, it's well made, and, you know, with a lot of the singing and mixing being pretty bulletproof with how technically well made it is. And similar to the defsharp track, it feels so much just like a standard for the genre of music it is, you know, just textbook quality of the sound being made. That's going to do it for this week's Weekly Tracks roundup, list, whatever you want to call it. Over here next to my head are some honorable mentions that I did not get to, but I still think are good and worth listening to. Catch me in the next video. I'm up here now, by the way. Catch me in the next video where I give my mouse and keyboard to my cat and I let him pick the songs that I talk about for the week. Bye.